So again, Kamal, thanks so much for visiting with me today. Thanks for being here. I just appreciate you. We've known each other for quite a few years now, and love you like a brother. You've just been so good to me. We've had a great relationship, although we haven't seen each other too much in the last few years. And glad you're doing well and out there traveling and telling people your story and warning people too about what's actually happening and going on globally, as well as spreading the gospel, because I know you love spreading the gospel and telling people about Jesus Christ. So if you wouldn't mind, if you we can just start off, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself. And then also, I know you lived under Sharia law for just a little bit, and I filed a bill here in Missouri to prevent our courts from adjudicating cases based on Sharia law. And then I also included the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, and also the United Nations, that our state wouldn't be regulated or have any laws based on any outside international organizations. And as you know, you were very kind to write a testimony that I read in committee last week, and the bill was received really well. Matter of fact, it's I put it on Facebook and the testimonies, and I haven't had so much traction on any post that I've ever made before. So I would appreciate if you could just tell us just a little bit about yourself and what it was like for you to live under Sharia law.
Well, as a Muslim, in Islam, when you're born as a Muslim, you could not convert from Islam. As a matter of fact, Sharia said whoever leave Islam must be killed. Muhammad said it in the Hadith, and the Hadith is the traditions of Muhammad, and that's part of the Sunnah, and that is part of Sharia law. And so, therefore, you know. Born to a Muslim Sunni family in Beirut, Lebanon, our way of life was adjudicated, by Sharia. It is our constitution. Muslim world, Sharia constituted them all together as what we call ummah. So Muhammad commanded and Allah commanded is to create one world, order under Allah, and so therefore you could not create one world order without laws. So Sharia was the mandate, and Sharia was the head of the way we went. As a matter of fact, the way we lived, it was different life. Even like my dad was in charge, because Allah said الرجال قوامون على النساء, meaning man has the power over women. And so women is not a citizen, first citizen in Islam. She is the lesser citizen. So a man can marry her, divorce her, beat her up, do anything he wants to her, because it is his power. Even if the man is lying about something and his wife protested him, then he had the rights to do that to her. Now, when you come to non-Muslims, like if you are Christian or Jews, then we must ask you to convert to Islam. And if you don't convert to Islam, then we have the legal right to kill you or enslave you according to the law of Sharia. It said, what is enslavement? Is you have to work and build the kingdom of Islam, Ummah, and so you can fulfill this, or we'll kill you and will inherit your wife, your children, your home, your land. This is by the Great Commission of Muhammad. There's a Great Commission in Christianity. It says, Jesus commanded us to go to all nations and serve and help and be a blessing to the nations. But in Islam, Muhammad says, "Inni umirtu an uqatil al-shu'ub." Allah has commanded me to war against all humanity until everyone says there's no God but Allah, Muhammad, his prophet. So he said, and if you have the right, if they do not submit to you, then you have the right to possess their land, their children, their wives, their finances, their government. All this is your inheritance. So what is inheritance according to Sharia? anything is not yours, if you are not Muslim like me, then everything you own it could be had as my inheritance in Sharia. So, born in Beirut, Lebanon, to a Muslim Sunni, we had, we're out birthing anyone, else, we had 14 brothers and sisters, and we were very poor. And this is where it's all started. At the age of 7, my mother told me that one day you will die for the sake of Allah and you will bring glory to Islam. You see, in Islam, according to traditions of Muhammad, if a man died and if a man died and his wife died after him and he did not make it to heaven, then she would not make it to heaven also. She would have to go to hell with him
Mm.
because it's her fault, according to the teaching of Sharia. So all these things that many people, they don't want to talk about Sharia because it will scare the light out of you if they know what Sharia really is all about.
Yeah.
So therefore, we were mandated to take over Lebanon. And as a matter of fact, at the age of 7, I was recruited by the what's so called later on the PLO. At that time, they're called Fatah. And Fatah was helping the Muslim in Lebanon to create an Islamic state, meaning to take over Lebanon. And Lebanon went in a civil war for 14 years,
Mm.
and hundreds of thousands of Lebanese were killed, especially Christians, because we want to establish an Islamic state. And why is this? Because it is the Great Commission of Muhammad by Sharia. It says, I have been commanded by Allah to fight a war until we conquer. And so therefore, as a child, I was used as a child soldier because a child has no value whatsoever, just like what we see in Iran. Iran, when they were at war with Iraq, they used to give the children put a key, and they said that's this key. This key is for paradise, and they want them to cross the field where it's minefield, and the children were killed because of the explosion, and the soldier crossed over to fight against the Iraqis. So all these are mandated by by Sharia. So we hear that there's over several thousand people were killed in Iran just recently under the Khomeini. That was mandated by Sharia because
Right.
if you protest the Islamic belief, then Muslim have to fight and kill and what so have you. Uh, Statistically, it shows when Muslim become 5% to 6%, they will take over the nation. They start demanding that Sharia to be the law of the land. We saw that's happening in England, in Birmingham. I went there myself. In Birmingham, over there, it's a state within state. Inside there, there's a Sharia police. The Sharia police will police the area and disallow things to happen. If a woman, is not dressed up, according to the Muslim code, then she's whooped on the street, just like Pakistan, like Afghanistan, like Tajikistan, and you go like, wow, third world country manifesting in our world, in European
Yeah.
system.
Exactly.
And then over there, if you are in that place and you are found that you are illegally there, you could be stabbed and killed. And the English government will not fight for that person who gets stabbed because the English government allowed Sharia to be passed in England. So now the Muslims are within their rights to do what they have to do, and the English people could not fight against it. To the
Wow.
point now, there are several English mayors and all over England, and they are adjudicating from Sharia instead of the English laws.
Wow.
Uh,
Amazing.
this is happening in the United States of America. We have Sharia law zoning in New York. We have Sharia law zoning in Michigan. We have Sharia law in Long Island. I mean, and right there by New York, and we have different places all over the United States of America. And here's what happened: when a Muslim build a mosque and they build an Islamic center and they build an Islamic school, That is the establishment of an Islamic State. What does that mean? That land must be defended by blood because that land now is owned by Muslims, and the infidel or non-believers, non-Muslims, could not have that land. So all Muslim in the world must fight for that land until death.
Yeah.
So this is how I grew up under Sharia. A man could marry four women under Sharia, and he could choose which woman he can divorce. She could not divorce him. A man could, according to the teaching of Islam, Muhammad gave the rules. He said, if your wife disobey you, you can beat her up. If still disobey you, you can imprison her in her room.
Right.
If she still disobey you, you can go as far as honor killing. We've
Yeah.
seen honor killing in the United States of America, and that is conducted by Sharia law. What is
Right.
Sharia law? Is a Muslim man killing his daughter or his wife or female family member to cleanse the honor of Islam from his house because she dated an American or she talked to an American or she went to movie theater with American. All these have happened here in the United
Right.
States.
So Kamal, you said it only takes 5 to 6% of the Muslim population in a country or an area to begin taking over. And can you explain that? Like, where is America? Are we 5 or 6%? Do you have any idea where exactly we are? And if you can talk maybe a little bit more into the cultural jihad, like how does Islam begin to take over and institute Sharia?
Absolutely. So the Islamic, let me answer this first, I guess. Ask your question again.
Okay, you said it was 5 to 6%
Yes.
of the Muslims beginning to increase in population. Do you know where America is right now?
Yeah.
Like what percentage of Muslim population we
Yeah.
currently have?
So the Muslim in the United States of America, there are over 2%.
Okay.
And so what happened in the United Kingdom when they became over 2%, they start demanding to have a prayer place in the parliament. So the Hindu, the Shinto, the Buddhists, the Christians, the Jews could not worship at the parliament. But the Muslims start, asking, for a place to wash and a place to pray. And so the English government accepted that, and they said just give them place to pray. This is called the expansion of Sharia.
Okay.
Every nation have seven sphere of influence, seven
Right.
sphere of power from the media, from the government, from art and entertainment, from education, to all these powers. So the infiltration goes into the mountaintop. Basically, it starts, if I need to infiltrate the American government, I will go to the senator. I will go to the House representative. I will go to the city council. I will go to the governor and try to change the law. How do we change the law? There's more than 3% here of us in this nation, and we need few things. We need Muslim doctors at the hospitals. We need Islamic, financial Sharia, meaning if we have to deal with the bank, we can't deal with the bank because they give interest. We need something based on Sharia, which is different, than the American or the European. So it has to be like Hawara, meaning it's no interest, no whatsoever, and you bring imams and you bring Muslim proficients. So they start bringing people from outside the United States of America to fill those places. At the hospital, they ask for doctors. At the colleges, they ask for swimming pool for their women. At their colleges, they start asking for prayer places and they start asking for Muslim centers so the Muslim can gather together. That is by the Muslim Student Association.
Mm.
The Muslim Brotherhood has established a government inside the United States of America, and that government is under the Muslim Brotherhood umbrella. from Council American Islamic Relation to Islamic Society of North America, Muslim Student Association, and this is brings about it's bringing about the governmental component. So how does it work? Islamic Society of North America, for example, bring the Muslim Student Association, bring also the doctor, the physician, and also bring scientists, and also bring the IT people, and all these are proficient engineer and what so have you. And now they have to give resources into the organization, and the organization itself, it open Islamic State, meaning they'll open a mosque, Muslim school, and Islamic center, like a triangle.
Uh-huh.
And over there, now that is walled and what so have you. And now inside of it, everything is governed by Sharia. Little by little, they start asking for more until they start asking the government to allow them to put Sharia in place. And that goes through the legislature, through the education. Like in our education today, in the United States of America, there are books to teach our children that Islam is equal to the American government constitutionally on every level, and it teaches those children that Islam has the right to exist in every sphere and every culture. That's what we're teaching our children.
It's just unbelievable.
In and how who is behind it. When we look at this, we look at the Muslim Brotherhood, the big CARE, Council American Islamic Relation. They are buying our education houses, who writes the books and what so have you. And
Yeah.
now they are putting this in the curriculum and approving it. And a lot of our, schooling have allowed those books just to be politically correct.
Yeah, it's shocking what's actually happening. And it's happening right under our noses. We see it in places like Dearborn, Michigan, Minnesota, places in Texas, some of the places that you mentioned already. We just had, even just recently, the mayor of New York swearing in on the Quran. We had a lieutenant governor in, I believe it's Virginia, and she swore in on a Quran. And we see this, and it's not one of the questions, and I wanted to ask you this too, Kamal. One of the things I get a lot is, well, Islam is just a religion. It's just a religion. It's not, it's just equal to Christianity, just like you were explaining that's happening in our schools. Can you speak to that? Because I know that Islam is not just a religion.
That's you're absolutely right. And you know, we need to understand that before I answer this, that what you're seeing in New York, the Muslim won the financial center of the United States of America failed. So we see the first time the first bombing took place on the towers. It was happened by the blind sheikh. The blind sheikh from Egypt, he was a Muslim brotherhood. They put all the chemicals in the basement and bombed, and the centers did not, come down. The second one was 9/11. And when they realized that they could not destroy America from outside, so they brought the Mandani. Mandani is now the dynamite within the financial center of the United States of America. So now he hides behind socialism, but it is Islamism. What's the difference
Right.
between Islamism and socialism? Not a whole lot. You know, as a matter of fact, I would say communism is if you put a God in communism, it will make perfect Islam.
Yeah. Yeah.
And perfect example of this, we look at what's happening in Iran, and we see what's happening. What happened in Egypt when they put the Muslim Brotherhood. Muhammad Morsi. What happened? He started killing the Egyptian people and killing Christians and what so have you, until the Assisi brought him down. And he said, "No, we're not going to let the Muslim Brotherhood take over and establish Sharia." So why all this happening? They say Islam is religion of peace. Yes, it is religion of peace, because when they are weaker, they are commanded to be at peace. That's what Muhammad told them. He said, when you are weaker, you are at peace. But when you become stronger and have the upper hand, like now they're in America, they're always, because there's minority, they're asking for minority status.
Right.
But when they become strong, they start they forget about the minority status and killing the minority. As a matter of fact, they align with the LGBT, they aligned with Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and other, but yet their religion disallow this.
Right.
So why are you allowing this? Because you join the enemy and use the enemy for your purpose until the enemy is weakened. And then when you are in power, you take these people that you united with, you take them out first.
Right.
So why do Muslims do this? Islam is created from three components. The first component called Quran, which is what Allah commanded the Muslim to do. But then Muhammad created the Hadith, which has surpassed everything Allah said. Surpassed, and so then what happened? The third leg, it's called traditions. The tradition is everything Muhammad did, but he did not say.
Mm.
So now, when they are adjudicating Sharia, they see what Allah said, what Muhammad said, and what Muhammad did. And based on this, what happened? They will adjudicate on this. These called Sunnah, which is the righteousness of Islam, and this is called Allah, the Quran. So when you join these together, they create what's so-called Shura, which is a judges, all Muslim imams, and they see how they do this because they could not answer for themselves according to the law of that nation. So they have to answer to the nation from the Islamic perspective. In Islam, it says there's no other religion is higher than the Islamic religion. And because United States of America is a man-made religion and Islam is Allah-made religion, they must destroy the man-made religion and establish Allah religion, just like what's happening in England, what's happening in Sweden, what's happening in Germany, what's happening in France. If you go there, I toured those places. It is chaotic. If you rape a woman, it's okay because she is not Muslim. If you stab a man, it's okay because he's not a Muslim.
Wow.
If you beat up the citizen of that nation, it's okay. It is in the law, Sharia law, which is specifically made for non-believers. And here's the worst part: if you're not Jew or Christian, then they have the right to kill you without even asking you.
Mm.
They have the right to take you out, like India. One day, in the history of Babur Nama, when Islam invaded India, they killed over the year over 80 million Hindu.
Wow.
That is chronicled. That
Wow.
is chronicled. So why they are doing this? Because the cornerstone of Islam is called jihad. Jihad is something very, Allah asked about that specifically. For example, in Christianity, it says you could not, please God without faith. What is faith? Is to believe, to do all the good things that God commanded you to you and to your neighbor and the whole world, which is your neighbor. But in Islam, it says you could not please Allah without faith. I mean, without the jihad.
Mm.
So therefore, what happened is jihad is the cornerstone. 1% of jihad is for a Muslim to be a better man or a better woman. That is jihad within their self. But the rest of jihad, they are totally different. So we look at what happened in the state of Minneapolis. We see Ilhan Omar, who is a senator. What happened is she married her brother and she bring him to the United States of America as a husband, and she divorced him here, and so he can have to obtain the American citizenship. So with this, that's permitted in Islam. As a matter of fact, deception is a doctrine in Islam. It is
Right.
in the Quran itself what Allah said. He said, وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Meaning the Jews and the Christian have deceived, but Allah also deceived, but he said, but I am the greatest deceiver. So in Islam, it is okay to make up story and swear in the name of Allah.
Mm.
That is the truth. Only to advance Islamization. It
Yeah.
is, you'll swear on your mom, your dad, your everything else,
Mm.
because you are allowed to swear to advance Islamization, and that is called muruna. Muruna is something you can create and be and be smart above the people, the nation, the people of the nation. So thus, what happened is you start establishing Islamization of the nation by creating more models and hoping it starts by immigration.
Yeah.
Immigration is what brings them into here, and when they come into here, they go back to their own home. They marry and they come back. They're divorced. They go back and divorce. And they are bringing multitude of people.
Wow.
So all of it is strategized, and all of it is made like so.
Wow. That's amazing, Kamal. I really appreciate you sharing this with us today. And I just had one last question for you. I know you had looked over my bill too, and my bill would prohibit really Sharia law in the state of Missouri. And as well, I included all of the international organizations, listed a few of them. Can you maybe tell us why as a piece of legislation to prohibit Sharia law in a state, why is that really important? I know you basically said it for the 20 or 30 minutes, but if you can just sum that up, why is that important to get this legislation passed?
Well, let's look at what happened not too long ago in our history. American were going over to the Mediterranean Sea and what so have you to do business, and the Berber were coming pirates and killing American and kidnapping them, their women, and selling them as slaves. And so therefore, because this is permitted, slavery in Islam is permitted.
Mm,
It's the only religion that allow slavery. Allah said over 70 times in the Quran, Muhammad is my best slave. And he said to all Muslims to model themselves after him.
mm,
Muhammad says, I'm slave. Why we're talking about this? Because to enslave a culture, it is permissible. So what happened? We had to create a navy to go fight the pirates, and defeat them right there in their own water, and defeat the Berbers and Islamic pirates, Islamic Berber, to stop them from killing American citizens. We see that what happened 9/11, that is because of Sharia. We see what's happening into when somebody sit in his car and run over 70 people, that is Sharia permitted to kill
yeah,
them. These all are allowed, a man to stab 6 7 people on the street saying Allah Akbar, he's glorifying Allah.
right.
If we allow Sharia in here, what happened is then we will have to give them the permit to hold the sword over our head
Mm,
and tell us what works for them or what does not work for them. And so, therefore, everything our forefather fought for and gave us freedom, we are surrendering our freedom to a system that says it's okay to take the non-believers as slaves. We look at Nigeria, we look at Sudan, we look at Ethiopia. We see what's happening over there. This because they have Sharia. If Sharia is allowed in the United States of America, then you are allowing, we have a constitution. It is, in God we trust.
amen.
So if we trust in God, and if we believe in this constitution, every man equal in the eyes of the beholder, why do we have to allow other constitution to be equal to our constitution? As a matter of fact, our
Exactly.
constitution, there's no other, it says there's no other law higher
Yeah.
than the United States of American law. Here's one thing: our nation fought for Islam in on many fronts, in Iraq, in Kuwait, in all over Kosovo, Georgia. We fought for the Muslim to set them free. Afghanistan, we just our president stopped war between Pakistan and India. So we are stopping, these Islamic advances that they are mandated by Sharia.
Mhm.
Why would we want to allow these Islamic advances to be legalized in the United States of America. More than anything else, America is the home. It's for the brave and for the free.
All right.
And so if you want to come and live in the United States of America, I believe in one citizen.
Mm.
I don't believe in multiple citizens. If you want to live here in the United States of America, surrender your citizenship and become American.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not American yet.
Right.
You have one foot here and one foot there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you could not assimilate with a culture and become flesh of their flesh, bone of their bones, then you are not part of the culture.
Yeah.
And because of Sharia, this allow American to be part of any other culture but Islamic culture.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, which is, if we look at Sharia historically, Muslim killed more Muslim than any other nation on earth. Why? Because they have different doctrines. There's over 3,500 doctrine in Islam, which is different flavor. They conflict with each other. So they kill each other because they don't believe that they are true Muslims. So, and what is that based on? The Sharia that is made for them specifically. So if you're not in my flavor, I have to kill you.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't have Sharia, I have to kill you. Why terrorism is taking place is to bring America down, to fall on their knees and surrender what we held as very, very special and sovereign, not just for us, but for all nations. We have helped. We are the breadbasket of the world.
Yeah. So true.
Why do we give it to Sharia?
Yeah. Absolutely. Very well said, Kamal. I completely agree. I want people to know this is not, we're not offering this piece of legislation because we're against any religion. We're not against Islam. We're not against Hinduism. That's the great thing about our country. We can have different faiths. And, I was in the military. I'd fight and die for the people's right and freedom to worship how they want to worship. But we have a constitution. It's the greatest governmental document ever written by man. And I believe it was God ordained to be written. It gives freedom to people and liberty to be able to live and have freedom. And Sharia is incompatible with the U.S. Constitution. There's no way for both of those to exist. And that's why I'm filing this bill. They're incompatible. Just as Kamal explained, living under Sharia is, if people would really understand what Sharia really is, you're not going to want to live under it, especially women are not going to want to live under it. Any
Well,
closing comments there, Kamal?
yes, yes. Freedom of thoughts is forbidden. Freedom, liberty to say what you want. Media, they have no freedom.
Yeah,
There's no other law. So if you have Sharia, under Sharia law, what happened if a Christian or if a Jew or if a Hindu or Buddhist or Shinto or somebody doesn't believe in God at all, fought with a Muslim and they kill, he killed a Muslim, he has to be killed for that. But if the Muslim killed him, the Muslim in his right,
yeah,
so that's important. I want to say something very special and dear to my heart.
sure.
I love my Muslim family.
Yeah,
I love my mom. I love my dad. I love my brothers. I love my sisters. I love my people. They're generous. They're good. They're wonderful. They are really, so good in doing so many good things, for one another. But when the imam in the United States of America start hurting the people, tell them Sharia said you have to do this in your nation, in this nation, in America, whatsoever. Now they start constituting from their pulpit to the people how to change the culture and how to put the culture into fear. And to help my family, we need to allow my family to choose for themselves.
yeah,
Do they want to live free or do they want to live under Sharia, enslaved to laws and bylaws that command them to kill other and do other things illegally. And so, because I love my family, I believe if they, if Sharia is prohibited in the United States of America, we will allow the Muslim immigrant to choose for themselves the liberty they want, the
Yeah.
freedom they want to live like American citizenship, send their children to school, and be part of that future generation, contributing to our nation. But as of now, under Sharia, this is will never happen.
I'm so glad you took the opportunity to say what you just said, Kamal. Thank you so much for being with me today. I sure appreciate it. Love you, my brother.
Love you too, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Absolutely. Thanks for being part.